If you get into the rat race, at the end of the day, win or lose, it's still a rat race. That's what I mean. There's no winning, there's no losing. It's about self-discovery and also learning, as I said earlier. I really feel like I've accomplished something of coming a long way from a youth where I was kind of ignorant, very ignorant, and my father was a lovely man. I respected him a lot, very intelligent man, but he was confirmed in his Republican viewpoint, and it was a conservative one, and nothing wrong with that. And it was based a lot on the legacy of Roosevelt in those years, and the war, his experiences in the war. So it was I had contention with my dad after I returned from Vietnam because, frankly, I went there in the belief that we were doing the right thing. And I came back completely, not against it, but totally, I was out there, man. I was not in the same world as he was. And we had in fact, I gave him LSD one night, right? That described that. So anyway, that's part of the journey. And it's been a long journey because I learned politically a lot, educated myself, met many people, experienced, talked to people, had relationships, and that changes. Years go by, gradually the films change, and I'm doing, by 1991, I'm doing, after the Vietnam stuff, I'm doing JFK, doing Central America, Salvador. I'm doing talk radio. These are very angry films, and even The Doors. I mean, obviously Morrison was a rebel, and I found myself drawn to those type of people more and more. But yet I turn around and I do Nixon not because I was just following a rebel ethos, but I wanted to understand Nixon because in a way I wanted to understand my father. I think there was some similarities, and Anthony Hopkins was very, very incisive in finding those sections in his personality of that crossed with my father. So Nixon was a very special experience for me, and I kept going. From people don't understand why I would do a movie about Nixon or I would do a movie about George W. Bush,
right. Yeah.
both of whom I have no sympathy for, but.
Well, let me ask you this. So how do you do a film about somebody for whom you have no sympathy?
Say again?
How do you do a film about someone for whom you have no sympathy?
Well, because that's the dramatist's role. A dramatist should be able to put himself in the shoes of George W. Bush or Richard Nixon and make it a story understand his story, walk in his shoes, as the Indians say. And at the end of Nixon, and I think of W., I think you feel that you know more about those two people. So you understand it's not simple, this thing, but it's learning. I think I really thoroughly understand the conservative viewpoint, and I understand it in all their arguments. And sometimes, on certain issues, I would agree with them.
Right.
So it's not like I'm a set in tin type. It's just I'm seeking. I've always been a seeker. Alexander is a film about seeking, totally about seeking. It goes through mother, father, family, love, wife, lovers. And it's never satisfied except at the highest aspiration levels. And after that, keep going with the last one was Snowden. Snowden is an American hero to some, and he was couldn't get financing for an American hero. In other words, there was no.
You were financed out of Germany.
It was done out of Germany and France, but it doesn't matter. I'll keep going, and I'll keep getting it done if I want to get it done. Sometimes, you just don't have the heart for it.
Right.
But if you have the heart for it and you can take the brutality of the business, I think you can keep going, as I said in here.
Yeah, let's talk about your drive for a second, because in this extraordinary period that sort of takes off with Salvador in '86, and many people forget that Salvador and Platoon came out the same year, and both figured very prominently in the Oscars the following year. So from '86 to '97, you direct 10 movies in 9 years.
Yeah.
That is an extraordinary physical and psychological feat. And that has to be due to passion.
I think once I got the green light, which was big on Platoon, I mean, it made a fortune. So it got the green light. I went like a bat out of hell. I just never stopped because I never believed that it would last, and it doesn't. But you have to go when you have a little light, go for it and make the toughest projects. I don't admire people who just sit there for a couple of years, do nothing, and enjoy their rest. It's restful. And of course, then turn to a commercial project, a clearly commercial project. Not that I'm scared of commercial. I want to make commercial films, but I took the power of Platoon, and I actually made Wall Street, which nobody wanted to make a business movie. They hadn't been done in decades. That was a surprise. It did well,
right?
In spite of all the problems I had with the studio. And then after that, with the success of that, talk radio, nobody went, so there you go, back to zero. But right away, that was a small film, so it wasn't too bad a loss for me, but still, it hurt. And then I did Born on the 4th of July, which nobody had wanted to do. I'd been rejected on Born on the 4th of July for how many times? It was originally, I wrote it in '79 for Al Pacino, and it was rejected. Heartbreaking story. Ron Kovic went through hell, and when I had the power, I promised Ron I'd go back and get him, and I did, and I'm very proud of that fact that I fulfilled my promise with the success of Wall Street. I went back, and Platoon and Salvador, I went back and made Born on the 4th of July for a tough budget, but we made it. And not only that, that got me an Oscar, which was unbelievable. And
your third Oscar, by the way. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And after that, then they found out, so then they know more. That was it, you know. In fact, there is a price to pay for too much success. And that's a very interesting subject matter. I get into it in the next book, not this one. But this book, the young man is looking for success. He's looking for his dream to realize films. And it starts with NYU Film School, and before that it goes back into New York City and the Vietnam War and all the parents and the schooling. It's an interesting, it's an odyssey. It's what it is. It's an odyssey. Those of you who are studying film, well, many of them have already written me. You recognize so many things in it that could help you as a film student, or else just as an interested party. It's also about success and failure in life, and the fickleness of it, the transience. After the success of Born on the 4th of July, I parlayed that. I did Doors right away because it was something I cherished in music. I wanted to do a music film, but it was breaking all the rules of musical. We were doing things live. Mr. Kilmer did a lot of the songs himself. We were breaking all the rules of normal, the way you shoot musicals. I loved it, and.
Well, then you broke even more rules on JFK.
I was fighting with Ray Manzarek all the way through the Doors.
Right.
Unfortunately, Jim was dead, so Ray claimed propriety over him. But I fought Ray. And after that, I went to JFK, which I thought is going to be this is it, I'm over after this. JFK was going to be a massive failure. I felt, okay, but so what? It's going to be too complex, too long. People are not going to come. Well, how was I wrong?
Yes.
Was I wrong on day one? It was like Platoon. They just came. People came because they had a thirst to know. But it also landed me in a lot of hot water.
But I mean, but that's an interesting point there.
Felt like a lobster.
Because